Hello, I'm Glenn Guess. You're not supposed to say hi. I'm going to go through my sponsor stuff first so y'all know who all my sponsors are. That's what makes all this possible. Fox Pros is one of the sponsors of the show, and they want us to tell you all about the companies. And it's family owned and operated. John Dillon is the president, and Mike Dillon's the general manager. Steve Dillon's operation manager, and they got a 45,000 square foot facility in Pennsylvania. They make awesome calls. I've been using them for, I forget how many years, long time. They provide, reliability, innovations, and user-friendly features, and I use them to call everything. I've used them to call turkeys, whitetails, coyotes, fox, bobcats, all that good stuff. Did it switch? EOTech, they're another one of my sponsors. They make holographic weapon sights. They make thermal imaging devices. You'll see some pictures on my slides here in a little bit of some of the thermal stuff that we do. And if you hadn't ever looked through a thermal device, go back there to EOTech and let them show it to you. It's cool. They own another company called Insight, so they make a ton of different kinds of lights, some other night vision equipment. I've played with some of that, but not near as much as the thermal. You get hooked on that thermal, you can't play with anything else. These guys, Hornady sponsors me. Specialized Dynamics makes my rifle. I use bog gear, shooting sticks. We use those shooting sticks for everything. They're supposed to be just designed for shooting sticks, and we use them for that, but we also use them to prop up barbed wire, kill snakes, everything. Push briars out of the way. We tear a lot of them up. I started studying hog vocalizations. Well, let me back up a little bit. I heard Gerald Stewart talking about accidentally calling hogs back in the early 90s. And I had accidentally called them in while calling predators, and it piqued my interest in calling hogs. And so I bought every kind of hog call you could possibly imagine, trying to figure it out, trying to find that magic trick to call in a hog. And ultimately, if you don't already know how to hunt a hog, find a hog, and kill a hog, you ain't gonna call one in except accidentally once in a while. But number one question I get is, can hogs be called? And I say yes. And you'll see on the internet over and over and over where that same question gets asked, and the answer is always 90% of them are gonna say no. We use calls to call in fox, coyotes, bobcats, turkeys, ducks, deer. They all have one thing in common. They use vocalizations to communicate. And one of the things that I've always thought is that, how does a hog communicate? They communicate with vocalizations. There's got to be a way to call them, but I just never could figure it out. I wished I had all the money back I spent on gimmicks trying to figure it out. First thing you need to figure out is, do you have hogs? The most obvious thing that will tell you you've got hogs is when you walk out and there's acres and acres of plowed up ground like that where they've been in there and rooted everything up. That's fairly obvious, but there are ranches where they never root, and they'll be rooting on the ranches around it, but they're not actually rooting on the ranch there'd be one in the middle that they don't ever root on. There's no obvious hog sign. When we get on a place that is new to us, people may have us come in to hunt coyotes or something, I always skirt the perimeters of the place first. Number one, to make sure that I don't get on property I don't have permission to be on. And number two, to look for trails like this. Before they baled that hay in the background, there was hay grazer, Sudan type stuff standing about this high. And those hogs were just living in that Sudan during the day, and they were coming over on this property across the road and onto another ranch and rooting the heck out of it. But you couldn't even tell there was a hog on that Sudan patch. And of course, when they baled it, they all left. Another obvious sign is hog tracks crossing telephone poles. They like to rub telephone poles. That pole right there, me and this guy sitting right back here in the green taking pictures, make him blush. We watched a hog with thermal rub that pole and then mark it with his saliva. He marked it with his tusks, and he moved about, 10 more yards and then died. Can y'all see those trees? Have you ever seen as many hog rubs in one place in your life? And we've hunted that spot. I think I've got a picture of the wallow. There's a wallow to the right of it. And I can't tell you how many times my wife and myself have sat and watched that wallow, and we have yet to see a hog there, daytime or nighttime. And we've killed hogs on that property. This is a signpost. It's an equivalent to a buck rub. Those big boards will come through there, and they'll rub the side of their head. They have a scent gland right in this area. I think I've got a picture of it on here. They've got a scent gland in this area, and they'll rub that scent gland, and a lot of times you'll kill a big boar that'll have a bald spot right there where that scent gland is. They'll mark that with their tusks, and they'll chew it and salivate all over it, and then rub it some more. And that hog may not be but this tall, but he's going to rub this high. Most of those signposts are smaller than your wrist. There's the wallows next to where all those rubs were on those trees. That's a nest. When Randy first started hunting with me, he had never seen a hog nest. We walked through an area, and there was, Randy, how many hog nests were in that area we walked through that first time you ever saw one? 8 or 10 of them. And they'll build those huts, they'll get in there, and they'll have their pigs, and a lot of times they'll move away from those huts, and they may not ever go back in them again. They'll get within a short distance, and they'll kind of go. Those little pigs will come out of their single file like ants. And by the time they're a week old, they pretty well stay with their mother. 2 weeks old, they can survive without her if they've got a food source. Another obvious sign that you got hogs, when you can walk into a place and you can see them, there's more hogs there than probably what you can see. I think there's 7 in that picture. There's 2 here and 3 there, and I wound up killing that black one. Like I was talking about, you've got to be able to find and kill a hog before you just start calling. I mean, like, you're going to blindly go out there and be able to call in a hog from time to time. But figuring out where they stay during the day and where their sanctuaries are, where their bedding areas are, that's the key to calling them in. Standing cornfields like that one is a good example. These hogs weren't called. We just got out there, we were hunting. We had a good morning hunting. We duck hunted. We all got our limit in mallards, and then we went to hog hunting. And by noon, that's what we had. So if you can, like I say, if you can consistently go out and find hogs and kill a hog, then you can learn to call them. I've spent a little better, right at 20 years now, studying their vocalizations. These hogs are all pinned up. This one right here, let's see, that's him. I was hunting one night, one sow fell behind in the group. I shot her, I got over there to her. I mean, my daughter raises domestic hogs, so we know what all the signs are she's fixing to give birth. That sow was ready to give birth within 24 hours. So cut her open, took 6 pigs out of her. If they don't go through the birth canal, they never breathe on their own. You have to shake them. So I grabbed 2, and I'm shaking them like this. My wife grabs one, she's shaking it. These are the only 2 we ever got to breathe. Raised them in the house, messed with them every day. That's me training them to lay down so I can scratch their bellies. That's Porky. He's the only one I still have. Socks got to where he wouldn't stay in the pen. I had sows pinned up, domestic and feral, and I had a fence about this high, and he'd jump it. He'd go over here, he'd jump back in, get in with somebody else. And so I had to get rid of him. 2 summers ago, he weighed 4 1/4 when I sold him. And he was smaller than Porky. Porky from day one was the dominant hog. When they were about a week and a half old, he got sick and stayed sick for about a week. Socks was the dominant hog. As soon as he got well, he was dominant hog again and has been ever since. That's me scratching him. I can't reach his belly with his back pressed against my chest. And he's got cutters like this. I don't recommend that you do this. He can go from that position to straight up and running and faster than you can move. I had a firearm in my other hand, and I had somebody standing outside with a firearm. That's the only time I've gotten a pin with him, right there for that picture. That's him standing up. That's me in the background. Those panels are what, 4 feet tall? About 4 feet. So he's a beast. And I'll estimate him to go around 600 pounds. He's never been fed anything special, just corn, table scraps. I was gonna weigh him. We moved him from one pen to a new pen about a month ago, I guess. I put him in the stock trailer, no problem. He got in. I got 2 miles down the road. He decided he won't be in that stock trailer. So I didn't want to replace all the floorboards in my stock trailer and have a traffic jam on the highway, so we took him home. We didn't weigh him. This is Wilbur. That's the first hog I ever caught. He hit approximately 600 pounds at 5 years old and then started regressing, going back downhill. Partially because he has a sow in with him all the time. She has pigs, and they constant fight for food, and he don't get to have a lot of, extra food. Costs a lot to feed hogs that big. Once you've learned to locate and kill hogs, then you can start studying the different vocalizations and trying to figure out the areas to call them in. And this is a video clip of them responding to a Fox Pro. Go ahead and play that, Daniel. John Bailey from EOTech was the one shooting on this stand. We got the audio for that? That's the first one that showed up. I'll walk off the stage backwards here in a minute. The call is right in here, and those hogs are going to stick their nose right to that call. Hear those hogs vocalizing to that call? Hit it again. Count the shots. That's 3 shots. That hog's dropped right there. What'd it take? Probably 5 minutes for those other hogs to come back. We kept calling. Here's the second hog that came back. That hog's laying right there by him. He got that one.
Switched over to these hog sounds.
He's a big old ugly guy, ain't he?
All right. We're just screwing around. We're going to walk out of here. But sure enough, probably 5 or 6 hogs came straight at this call.
This is my wife. That's a bedding area. We're calling into a bedding area. She's using a shotgun with 3.5-inch coyote loads. Randy was with us on this stand. I think she's happy about it. Look here. This is another stand me and my son are calling. This one's a little dark on this screen, but a group of hogs come in. They were just curious. They didn't come running right into the call. They come in right there and stopped and were looking. And Talon shoots one. Can y'all see it at all? That's sow protection sound. I believe so on this one, yeah. Can y'all see the hog in there? Okay, I can't see it from here. You can pause it now, Daniel. We generally use the sow protection sound more than anything else. It's on the Fox Pro. I have a ton of other sounds that I just hadn't been willing to give up yet that we've been playing with some. And we use them for our own use. And it don't take the hogs very long calling in an area to get them to where they won't respond to it. You have to leave them alone, then come back. This particular area right here, the wind whirls in there constantly. And this property right here is on an explosives plant. And there's something in those explosives that those hogs like. And there's always a lot of cover around those explosive plants too, because they have to have, I think, 1,500 feet of cover in a direction that there's a structure, a house, or a barn, something like that. But the hogs will bed in this area a lot, and probably about the size of this room. Wind whirls constantly. It's hard to get in there and get on them. There's a big berm on the back side of that, and this particular day we were using thermal to see if the hogs were even in there. And we're scanning, and we can see hogs move back and forth. When we turn it back on, right in here, you'll see just a little black spot move across, and that's those hogs. And I'm blowing a grunt tube using kind of a mix between a bore quart and a sow. I'm blowing one like this. And you can do it with a deer grunt too, just a low-pitched deer grunt. But I'm using bore courting sounds and sow protection sounds. A lot of times when those boars are courting the sows still have pigs with them. When they still have pigs with them, they warn those pigs that, you know, that boar is danger. And they're also telling him, hey, stay away from my babies. And a lot of times when the boars are courting the sows, they make another sound. And juvenile hogs will do this too. A lot of times when you're hunting and you can hear those pigs off and on, you'll hear them grunt and then you'll hear one squeal. That's not a distress squeal. There's a difference between it and grabbing them by their leg and hanging on. That's everybody that has kids knows what I'm talking about. When your kids are in the back seat, one of them squeals and he says, hey, Mom, he won't leave me. He's touching me. He's looking at me, whatever. Those pigs do the same thing back and forth all the time. And until that sow is receptive, she'll also do that. Hey, get off my back, stay away from me. I'm not ready for you. And those sounds work well too. I hadn't figured out how to duplicate them real well yet, and they're hard to record. The hogs that we have pinned up, they don't do that much. The ones in the wild do. What got me, well, I'll go ahead with this and let y'all watch this. This one is, go ahead and let it play. I'm grunting at them. Michelle's grunting at them. We're trying to pull them out, and they were supposed to come this way, but one comes to my right, and I'm filming and trying to shoot. I'm right-handed, so I had to figure out how to shoot this hog quick so I don't get zoomed in on him real good. After I shoot this hog, we kept calling. I don't think I put it on here, but we keep calling, and we calm the hogs down. They come back. Michelle kills one with the shotgun, but it's not real good footage to show to everybody. So this next, the next scene, we've walked into a bedding area. I think that's what this, let me wait till it gets there and I'll see what it is. Can't remember. Yeah. This is a bedding area, and the hogs bed in there all summer long, pretty much all year long. And I could hear hogs in there, boar courting a sow, and I start grunting. If you listen real close, you'll hear that when this sow starts grunting back at me. I shoot her at 10 yards. She got as close as 9 yards. That's kind of a boar courting a sound call. Michelle's running the camera. She's saying, to the left, to the left, to the left. She don't know I can see this hog. That's the only sound I made for that hog to respond. You should start hearing her grunt back pretty quick. Can you hear her yet? I heard her a long time before I saw her. There she comes. You hear her now? She sees me. I'm just sitting on the ground just like this. At that point, she's 9 yards from me. lot of times after we shoot, we keep grunting because that's just a noise to those hogs a lot of times, unless they've been shot at a whole lot. A lot of times
for close.
A lot of times you can keep grunting and call them back. Where to call? Obviously, if you step out here in the parking lot and start blowing on a grunt tube or a squealer, you may call in some bikers or a police officer, but you're not likely to call in a pig. I don't call a lot of open areas, and for the most part, hogs don't seem to cross real big expanses to get to a call. I have at night called them about a half a mile, but it was an accident. We were predator calling. I heard them squeal way off. I switched over to a hog sound, and they came in. We knew how far away they were because we had thermal. We were watching them with thermal. So, I like to call on the edge of, especially in this area, y'all have a lot of agricultural crops, Sudan, milo, corn. Those hogs will get in those areas because it offers shade, it offers food, and it offers sanctuary. If you've ever, like, you can have the wind to your back going into a cornfield, and that farmer probably plowed or planted in a circle or a square, and when you start walking out across there and that wind's blowing across the top of those stalks, as it hits them, it changes directions. You can't see through it. It's noisy when you're walking through it, and your scent's constantly changing directions with the wind. And it's hard to kill them, and we tried for years doing it. And when I started discovering how to call them to me, we'd set up on the edges of it, keeping our downwind side open. They're worse about trying to circle downwind of you than a coyote is. And but these food sources are where it's good to call them out of that. Stuff that you can't get into, places you can't, we hunt a lot of thickets. That's another hay grazer field. We called a ton of hogs out of there. That thicket like that right there, you can't see it so much in the background, but that stuff, I literally have to get down on all fours to get through there. I have killed hogs that way, but it ain't recommended. You hit one bad, there's no way to get away from him if he comes at you. The wind changes there constantly. You'll find that the sanctuaries, the bedding areas where these hogs like to spend a lot of time, that wind constantly changes. Constantly. And it's just impossible to come at them from any direction without spooking them. What we do is we set up on the edges of them, try to call them out, and we start out using sow protection sound, a lot of times on the Fox Pro or the grunt tube. Use boar, court, and sow sounds. I do them more on the grunt tube. I'll demonstrate some sounds in a minute. I don't use pig squeals until last resort, and I never call for more than 4 minutes. If you're that within 75 yards of them and they don't come in 4 minutes, they're not likely to. It's just like calling anything else, they don't always come. Sometimes they'll run. Well, how many here have called to a coyote that they've seen out in the field? Sometimes they'll come to you, sometimes they'll lay there and ignore you, sometimes they'll go the other way. I was hunting with the minister for the Chicago White Sox one time, and I never stay on stand more than 15 minutes. But we were running out of stands. We'd been hunting hard, coyotes weren't coming, couldn't get them to do nothing. Tried every sound in the world. We had been on stand for about 30 minutes, and I was going to mess with him. And he was sitting there, and I put the hand call in my mouth, and I said, do-do-do-do-do-do. And when I did, a coyote stood up 400 yards out there that had been laying there the whole time. She got up, started to us, wasn't moving real fast, but she was moving. I started distress sound again. She quit coming. I shut up. I said, sit down, sit down, sit down, like that. Didn't do nothing else for a little bit. I started lip squeaking. She came in, and he killed her. It's the only coyote we killed all day. So, you never know how an animal's going to respond. Turkeys. We've had the same thing with turkeys. Sometimes you call them, sometimes they come to you. I've got a place that's got 2 good birds on it this year. As soon as you start calling, he'll gobble just like crazy. Double gobble, triple gobble. He'll move towards you a little bit, and then he goes the other way as fast as he can. And I can run fast for a short-legged fat man, and I can't catch him. So whitetails, same way. Sometimes they'll come running in when you rattle those horns together like they're going to run over you. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll run the other way. You're going to have the same problem with hogs. You have to take into consideration that there's as many different personalities in these animals that we hunt as there are in people. You got some that want to fight, they're going to come running in there, they're going to try to get you. You got some that are territorial, and that's their deal. You got some that are just curious. They're going to slip in slow and check you out, and you got some that are responding out of maternal instinct. So there's as many different reasons as they respond as that they don't. Backing up to the powder plant, the explosives plant, when we first got permission to hunt in there, nobody had ever hunted it. And this lady don't let anybody hunt. And she had found out I actually filmed some poachers on her land and called her, worked with the game warden to get them arrested, and they wound up making a big drug bust out of it too. So she started letting me hunt. First day in, we killed 3 hogs going in there. We weren't real familiar with the place, and we could hear hogs making a lot of commotion. We couldn't figure out how to get to them. So we set up, and we started filming. We couldn't see anything, just brush. So we're filming this area of brush in hopes we're going to get to kill a hog. And I wasn't even thinking about the sounds. I was just thinking about killing that hog. Well, it was a boar courting a sow that had pigs with her. She was doing the sow protection sound, warning the pigs. The little pigs were squealing back and forth. She was squealing at the boar. And while we sat there, we had 5 or 6 other boars come in, and they would come from all directions. They were responding to the sound, not the scent, because they were coming from downwind, upwind, this direction, that direction. And then those boars would fight. And I don't know how big that boar was with her, but she was big. We wound up killing her. She was a big old sow, but that old boar that was with her had to be bigger because he was putting some big old boars back out of there quick. On the way home, we got to talking about it and talking about why all them other boars were showing up. So I went home and I played that sound over and over and over and over and over again on the TV till my wife got sick of hearing it. And I said, I can do that. I can make that sound on a grunt tube. So I started practicing blowing on not this one, but another one. About a week later, bow season started, and I'm sitting in the bow stand. Previous 12 years to that, with a bow, I had taken home every single animal that I had shot at. I don't get shook up before the shot generally. I will on occasion. Randy's hunted with me a lot. He can tell you, have you ever seen me shook up before a shot? Maybe once. I don't remember it. I think you're lying. Anyway, I just usually don't get shook up before the shot, especially if they come in quick and they're there. I just don't even think about it. Boom, I'm on them, I kill them, go on to something else. Well, I was sitting in this bow stand, I could hear these boars fighting off in the distance, and I'm thinking, I got my grunt tube. I ain't seeing no deer. So I started blowing on this grunt tube, and I mean, this one boar came running through there like the devil himself was after him. He never stopped. He blew right past me. The biggest spotted boar I've ever seen in the wild, and I've killed some big boars, and he wasn't bigger than the biggest one I've killed, but he's the biggest spotted boar I'd ever seen. He come running in there, and he had slobber all down the front of his chest, all down his legs, popping his jaws, grunting back at me. He's 6 yards from my bow stand, and I can't draw my bow. I'm sitting there, 55 pounds. I'm set on 50, so Michelle can shoot the same bow I'm shooting. I couldn't draw it. I can draw an 80-pound bow. Couldn't shoot him. He finally eased on back off. I'm going to try again. I started grunted him right back in. 6 yards, drew my bow, missed him, slick. He ran off. I started grunting at him again. He came running back in there again. He was a little more cautious this time. Stuck his nose to my arrow. When he smelt me, it was all over. He was gone. He was out of there. He wasn't coming back. I thought, dick, if I'd had my rifle, I could have killed him. So 2 days later, I know where he came from. I'm going to get him. Go back in there. I've never seen that hog again, by the way. Go back in there. The wind is perfect. I get right on the edge of where they came from. I start blowing on the grunt tube. I have 5 rounds in my bolt-action gun, extra in my pocket. I killed 7 hogs in less than 10 minutes without moving by grunting them out 1, 2, and 3 at a time. Last group that come in had about 15 in it, and I killed 2 of them. That's when I had time to reload. Day after that, Michelle put me on a 2 hog a day limit. Took us 6 hours to get those hogs to the truck. biggest one weighed, I think he weighed 230, that big red one. I think he weighed 230, and they went down to 40 pounds. There were 2 small ones under 50, and the rest of them were all 100 and above. So that, you know, I got banned when I put that story on the internet. I got banned off of all the hog hunting forums for claiming I could kill a hog. Made a lot of enemies over that. And I tried to explain to them, how can you possibly believe that you can't call a hog? You know, they use vocalizations to communicate. Any animal that vocalizes to communicate can be called. It's just a matter of figuring out why, how, when. And like I say, you're not always going to be able to call them in. But you're not always going to be able to call a coyote. There could be 15 coyotes out there, and you can see them. And I've learned more with the thermal over that as well. At total darkness, I can look out there and see them coyotes bedded in them big coastal fields, and they won't respond. Some of them will get up and ease off. Some of them will come on in. I've been calling coyotes. I was 15 years old. So any animal that you call will do that from time to time. They're going to come or they're going to go, and that's all there is to it. Nesting areas. If you're a conservative hog hunter and you don't want to kill your sows with babies, don't hunt nesting areas. But I'm here to tell you, when them babies are 2 weeks old, if they have a food source, they can live without their mother. Wilbur, we caught him when he was about 2 weeks old. Could never get him to take a bottle. He wouldn't take formula out of a bucket or a pan, but he would drink water, and we started throwing pig pellets in there, and he started eating them. 2 weeks old. I knew how old he was. I found him the day he was born. But I didn't have anybody with me to back me up if I grabbed him, so I waited 2 weeks and went back and caught him. This is a wallow out in the middle of a big open field. It's got a lot of cover around it. Sunflowers, Johnson grass, doveweed. Those hogs will bed around that wallow because they have cover. We call on the edge of wallows a lot. That's the place where you saw all those hogs come in. This is also the place where I called my very first hog I missed with a bow. Right where that timber line starts, that drops straight 60 feet straight down. It's got shelves on it that hold moisture. There's water below it. It flattens out below it, and there's another sanctuary below it, and you cannot hunt below that hill without getting busted. I've tried doing it bow hunting. I've tried doing it rifle hunting for deer and for hogs, and you just can't do it. Wallows like this, we'll set up on wallows a lot. Wallows, I like to use social grunts or boar grunts around them, and some squeals like there's pigs there fighting over the wallow. That's the end. That's my wife, by the way, with a big boar she killed, and she was as proud of that end of him as she was the end that had teeth this long. He had the longest teeth of any hog we'd killed. But anyway, I want to show y'all on the Fox Pro. I got time still, right? Okay. This is the sow protection sound that we use more probably than anything. It's coming. Y'all all hear it? When you grab a hold of a pig and a sow's making that sound, you better start hunting a tree. They'll get you. I grabbed a hold of a chicken one time in a hog pen full of hogs, and I like to not got out of that hog pen, and I couldn't turn loose that chicken to save my life. I was trying to, but I just couldn't make myself do it. That's the one we use more than anything. If I know there's a solitary boar staying in an area, I've seen him at night, seen him in the daytime, whatever. A lot of times I'll use this sound, not quite as loud as that. That's that squealing sound I'm telling you about. That's sparring, but sows will make that sound too if a boar's courting them and she's not ready to breed. This is a similar sound. It's a boar messing with a sow. I wasn't involved when they recorded some of these sounds, and they didn't record exactly what I wanted, but I forgot where the mute is. I didn't know I was up there. The boars, when they're courting a sow, the only way I can describe it, to me, it always sounds like a chainsaw warming up. boars love women. When a woman comes up, they'll make that same sound at a woman. They don't make it at a man. Wilbur, the other one, he's the one that I caught. He don't like strangers. And when a strange man comes around, everybody thinks pigs can't see. I want to touch on that a little bit. There's a guy got a decoy back here just like what I've been wanting to build. That feather flex looking thing, it's got to work awesome with calling hogs. I'm going to try one of them. But Wilbur can spot a stranger from between 60 and 90 yards away. And when he sees a strange man that he's not accustomed to or doesn't know, he says, he means it. I promise you. He can smell dope. There was a guy that was doing some scrap iron cleanup around his pen, and you could tell he was methamphetamine junkie. And he went out there to pet Wilbur. And I'm talking Wilbur's touching between 500 and 600 pounds at this time, and he's in a pen this tall. And that guy leans his hand over the fence, and he like to lost his hand. That hog comes straight up out of the air to get him. He does not like the smell of dope. Why, I don't know. You know, they use them in, use hogs, I believe it, in Vietnam area to locate landmines. They can smell them. There used to be a guy in somewhere between here and the Metroplex that used them to locate sewer leaks 15 feet underground. And, you know, there's better technology for that now, but that was, I thought that was cool. When we try to mimic the sow protection sound on this, and that sound will bring in pigs from this size to this size and every sex. I mean, you'll have sows come, you'll have boars come. We use the same techniques with this as we do the call. We try to set up in open areas, downwind of where we think they're going to be. And you got to watch your downwind sides. They're going to try to come there. Randy was with us when Michelle shot the one with the shotgun. And there was another hog came in after she shot, but we never could get him close enough to kill. He came in, kind of skirted back and forth, checked it out, and left. A lot of times after we shoot, we'll start calling immediately, usually like this. And we'll change it up. We'll make every pig sound we can think of to make, except a squeal, because we've spooked those hogs because of the sound. They don't all associate that sound with gunfire. They're not saying, hey, somebody's shooting at me, I gotta get the heck out of here. To some of them, it's thunder. I mean, sit in the woods, close your eyes, and listen to how many booms you hear. You hear a truck hitting a bump and a trailer gate flopping or gunfire in the distance. There's always, this guy right here on the second row, he lives in my area. You can step outside and you hear gunfire in every direction nearly every day. Somebody target practicing, somebody hunting, whatever. Those hogs ignore it. I mean, they don't pay no attention to it. Obviously, you shoot at them in an open field and you hit one next to them, they're going to haul butt the other way usually. Sometimes they don't. We've been able to grunt them back doing that too. But I'm going to take the chance. If we shoot one out of a group, especially a real thick area and it's all open around them, they really ain't got anywhere to go without exposing themselves, I'm going to grunt at them, try to bring them back, calm them down. We get in an area we want to call one of those thickets I'm talking about where the wind swirls and you can't walk through it without making noise. They won't come to us, we're going to them. We'll push them up, flush them out, whatever it takes. A lot of times we'll spook them. They'll either see us or hear us, and we'll stop, be real still, and start grunting. If they stop, if they're not going to come back, we go ahead and shoot them. If they act like they're going to come back, we wait on them. And that calms them down a lot. You shoot into a group, you try to pick out the sow that's always got her head up. She's the one telling everybody what to do. If you shoot her first, your chances of getting more hogs are better. I'm sure I haven't touched on some stuff that I thought of in the past I wanted to touch on, but any questions you want to ask, I'd rather you ask them here because everybody's sitting there thinking, well, I wished he'd talk about this. If you don't tell me, I don't know what you want to hear. And I'm here to help you the best I can. I'm going to tell you, I don't know all there is to know about hogs, and I will not live long enough to know all there is about hogs. They change every day. Our environment changes every day, and they're changing with it. When the end of this world comes, there's still going to be cockroaches and hogs. So, I want to answer any questions you got. Just raise your hand or come up here and I'll let you talk in the mic. If you're not comfortable doing that, I'll be hanging out around EOTech, dramatizing reality.
You had said a little bit when you were doing the shockwave that you didn't like the sound as loud as what you demonstrated. What volume level?
They can hear better than we can. So I like to, how a lot of predator hunters like to start quiet and work their way up. I have spooked hogs, just like I've spooked predators. Now, I'm stubborn. When I start calling predators, Randy can tell you that, I'm stubborn, I'm impatient. I have to run into a brick wall a lot of times to learn there's a brick wall standing there. A lot of times when I'm calling predators, go ahead and start at nearly full volume. But when I'm calling hogs, I start quiet and work my way up. Because, it's a little different. If you're calling predators, when something runs out there and grabs that rabbit, he's not saying, I'm going to spook that coyote, he's going to run off. He don't start out squeak, squeak, squeak. He starts out screaming his top of his lungs because something's got him. He's dying. Hogs, a baby pig's the same way. If you're going to use a piglet distress, yes, I start at full volume, but I don't use distress sounds until as a last resort. I start out low volume and work my way up. Very rarely unless I'm seeing and hearing hogs moving in here, I ain't going to sit there longer than 4 minutes. But when I move, I don't move very far. I might move as far as the end of this stage and start again because pigs never sit. Rod will tell you that. Unless a pig is standing in the middle of a field that is 100% food source, he ain't standing still more than, 30 seconds? At the most. And I've seen them cross an expanse this big in 30 seconds cruising looking for sows. I learned something this past summer using thermal, and Rod, he's got some awesome thermal stuff. I use EOTech stuff. And I never realized that these little... a lot of you've killed a 150, 200-pound hog that just stunk to high heaven. He's cut up, he's scarred up. Those are cruisers. They're the ones doing all the breeding. These great big boars that you kill that nobody's ever seen, guys like Rod may not ever even see them. They stick to their sanctuary. They don't have to eat much because they're not cruising. All they need is a little bit of food, a lot of sanctuary, and a lot of water, or a little water. And if a hot sow comes through, yeah, he's going to breed her, but he ain't going looking for her. So,
my question, Glenn, a lot of times when we're operating at night, we'll move in on 3 sows and maybe 12 piglets. And 3, 2, 1, bang, we'll drop all 3 sows on the spot, but the piglets will run into the wood line. Do you have any vocalizations on, like a sow vocalization to bring those pigs back out of the woods so we can whack them too?
There's not any on the Fox Pro. But if you can use a grunt tube and get it loud enough that she can hear it, those sows, like, there's a warning sound similar to that, and it's hard not, you've heard it. And it's usually followed by a blowing sound like a deer makes. But we use that, or we'll try to muffle it, and I've not been able to duplicate. You've heard them do it, the little pigs going through the woods. Wee, wee, wee. I can't duplicate that low-pitched grunt that those little pigs make yet. But if you can do that, you can get them to come back. But a lot of times we'll try to call them back with the sow like she's calling them, and then we'll just try to muffle it and try to calm them down, get them to. And a lot of times they'll come back anyway if you sit there long enough. But you're probably like me, you're ready to get on to the next patch, kill some more pigs. I've got a picture of me holding a camera. I'd shot a sow, and all the pigs ran off, and I was just fumbling around taking pictures. It was a real good area. I wanted some pictures of the bedding areas and the nests and stuff in there. And I heard those little pigs, and I started grunting at them. And I'm sitting there like this with my camera, and I took pictures of one of them sniffing my boot. And I caught him. I'm getting too old to catch them now. That's a good question. I appreciate that.
I wanted to know what you do with the dead hogs and how you dispose of them when you have a great, 6 hours, but even if you kill one or 2 or 3, what do you do with them?
It depends on the hog and the landowner. We've got one landowner, she's convinced that buzzards are killing her cows. We later found out that her bulls were carrying a venereal disease that caused her cows to miscarry. So she was losing her cows that way. It's a disease called trick, and it's a real bad deal in the cattle industry. She don't want any hogs left on her property. She still swears that the buzzards are killing the calves. So we find a place to dispose of the boars that we can't eat. I mean, you can eat the boars. We kill a lot of hogs, and I've got 5 kids. My wife hunts. All my kids hunt. My wife called me yesterday, or texted me yesterday during the predator panel, said, I want to go hunt and call this guy, tell him we're coming. So I texted the guy, told him they were coming. 6 o'clock, she sent me a picture of my daughter with a hog weighed about 125. 6:15, she sent me a picture of my daughter with a hog weighed about 200 pounds, and right after dark, she sent me a picture of another hog my daughter killed, and I'm stuck down here. But to answer your question, you know, we kill a lot of hogs. We eat as many of the sows as we could possibly eat. We give a lot to friends like Randy. There's always people telling me they want hog meat. I'll dress them out. I'll cool them. They're ready to go in the freezer. They never come get them. So we have a hard time finding an outlet for a lot of them. The boars, you can eat the boars. The older they get, the tougher they are. Walk in the grocery store, pick up a package of light brown sugar, not just plain brown sugar, but light brown sugar, and smell of it. It smells very similar to a hog. And if a hog smells like that, they smell like a hog, they smell like dirt, they're going to be fine to eat, boar, sow, either one. If they smell like, pardon the expression, that you just peed in the campfire, you ain't going to want to eat them. They still taste good, I've eaten them, but they literally smell like you just put urine in a skillet and burned it. And when they're cooking, if you scorch the meat cooking on a sow, she'll smell almost as bad, and you're not going to want to eat it. You still can. It tastes fine. It won't hurt you, but you don't want to. But we eat a lot. We eat nearly all the sows. Sometimes the ones with pigs are starved down. They're real bony. I don't care how long you cook them. They're tough. We have a lot of coyotes in our area. We usually try to find a ditch or some area that we can dispose of them. We don't like to leave them in the fields because of spines and the teeth on those hogs, and we can't save every hog head that we get. If you leave them in a field and he runs over them with his tractor, he ain't gonna be happy. So we try to put them in a remote area where there's not gonna be, within 24 hours, they're usually gone. Some of the boars, them coyotes won't ever eat. We've got one set up now. It's been sitting there a year, and he's, other than being dehydrated, he still looks like he did when we set him up to take pictures of him. Nothing's touched him. So, but we try to eat nearly all the sows, and I've gotten very creative with how to cook pork. And when you have 5 kids, you cook as much of it as you can instead of buying it at the store. That's a good question. Thank you.
Have you seen the moon phase make any difference in your hunting? Full moon, dark moons?
Yeah, I have. You know, a lot of predator hunters and fishermen, especially, they won't go hunting on a certain moon phase. Well, I'm here to tell you, we hunt on average 203 days a year. I have a full-time job, but all my hunting is close. I'm my own boss, so I can schedule. This guy knows me real well from my real job, so he knows that I'd rather be hunting than doing that. But I schedule my work where I have a couple hours to hunt if the weather is productive for it. If it's pouring down rain or if it gets above not 75 degrees, I hate it. So I don't like hunting in hot weather. My wife loves it. Hunting in hot weather is real productive, by the way. But anyway, I don't rely on the moon phase to hunt, but I can tell you we see a ton more activity on a bright moon, like from half on up. At night, out in the wide open fields, we see tons more activity from hogs on a bright night. And the only reason that I can figure that is a lot of people think hogs can't see, and I touched on that a little bit a while ago. A hog can see really well, a lot better but they don't have as many natural predators as other animals, so they're not as cautious about what they see. If one of those sows that's out in the field, and instead of killing them, if you'll sit and watch a group of hogs sometime, be 1 or 2 big old sows out there, she'll put her head down, she'll throw it up. Put her head down, she'll throw it up. She's checking the wind and she's looking. She sees you moving, it's all over. She'll go, oh, they're gone. But their eyes, they used to study, I don't know if they still do, I read some studies on it. They study hogs' eyes in relation to human eyes, and they're almost the same. They they see things the same as we do, as far as supposedly colors. I don't know how they know that, but colors and shapes and stuff like that, they can see a long ways. Eyesight is going to vary from pig to pig, just like it does for us. And some of you guys can still see right here. I can't see right here no more. My arms are getting real short. And hogs are the same way. With age, their eyes are going to deteriorate. And I think that the reason why they move so well on those bright moons is because they can see. But we killed this guy here. He hunts with me a lot. And when we're using thermal at night, I love a good bright night. Even if it's overcast, you know how you can, when the moon's bright, maybe there's a close by city and the light's reflecting off those clouds and you can see. We check those fields hard at night when they're doing that, because we can see to walk, and then we can use the thermal to kill them, and you can walk right up on them. And like he shot one the other night, and they were what was there, about 300 head of cattle there? They were mixed in with the cattle. And a lot of times we can ease into the cows, and the cows will move away. They can see a lot better than those hogs can. And the cattle kind of moved away. He picked out a safe shot and shot the hog. They just settled right back down. I killed one too. So, but the moonlit nights are a lot better. Daytime, I haven't noticed as much of a difference as far as the moon, but at night, yes, it does play a big role. On a real dark night, I usually won't go. So, anybody else got any questions? If you do, if you're not comfortable talking up here, come back there. I'll tell you kind of like you won't hear. We like to tell hunting stories. I appreciate y'all coming and listening. And anybody asks you if you can call a hog, you can tell them you've seen it done on screen. So, thank you.